Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Lost Chapters chapter 11. I'm your host Roman, and we also have,
I'm your other host, John.
there you go, the original co-host back. Alright, so sorry that it's
I missed
been,
one episode.
yeah, but I don't know. I think that might be I think that's going to be more common than you would think. Now, I'm not blaming you. You have a way busier schedule than I do, so I don't blame you for it. But doesn't negate the fact that I think you're probably going to miss more episodes.
I'm actually kind of digging the way this is working right now.
Oh,
Because like one of the things that made me that really threw me off was how badly my computer was skipping.
mm,
Like I couldn't have a conversation with you. I would have a conversation with what you said 30 seconds ago.
yeah.
You would already be on a different topic.
Mm,
So I'm using my phone now, which I know the screen isn't like the picture that you see isn't
yeah.
as big or whatever. I'm not sure. Um, but I mean, I see your lips moving and hear the words coming out of them at the same time, so this already feels a lot better.
Yeah, yeah. We're actually like pretty in sync when it comes to the actual recording of this. So it is actually better. Um, Now we do have a few things to talk about. It's actually going to be one of the bigger episodes because we have a lot to talk about. But I wanted to talk about the most important news to come out of Heresy. They at least showed off two new models. Now, they're the Imperial Fists. There is just looks like a regular Praetor and Mark III armor with the crest. He has the crest, so it's cool. And then the other one looks to be uh, it's a Terminator, but it's Tartarus. Okay, okay. It's just like a stylized Tartarus. I was like, what the hell is like going on? But you can tell by like the chest, it has kind of like that weird kind of like paragonal chest. I don't know how to describe it, but it has just like that weird chest. It's not the angular chest like the Catapracti. So really cool. Honestly, I just finished this mammoth of a book, Mortis, and the more and more I read about the Siege of Terra, the more and more I'm like, fuck, Imperial Fists are kind of cool. Like they're kind of just like stalwarts. They're just like doesn't matter. Like we're just gonna get shit done. So that book, expect a review of that book with full spoilers because I don't give a shit. And that's probably gonna be with Mark since Mark is more caught up with the heresy books than John is. So, and I was thinking about that. Maybe we can make an episode about that. Like the main books that you have to read for the heresy, so that you can catch up to Siege. Maybe that's something we can discuss, John. Because I don't think you have time to read 54 books or even listen to 54 books because it took me like 3 years. So okay, so did you see? Did you actually look up the Imperial Fist models? Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine. Now I know that you at least saw the Malagers model because that came out like 2 months ago. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Remember it.
Oh God, you're terrible at this. You see, this is why I want to replace you. Is you're fucking you didn't keep up with Heresy, like the one game that we should be playing all the time. You don't keep up with it.
See, the thing is, and it started happening because of 40k.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about spoilers for Warhammer anymore. Um, 40k kind of ruined that for me because it was just like Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of it would be like really anticlimactic. It'd be like, hey, here's 10 fucking Space Marine things, including a lieutenant,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what they fucking do.
Mm-hmm.
And then right at the tail end, when they're like supposed to do the heresy thing, they just leave it out and be like, oh, we'll cover it next week, or just give you something, a picture of something, and then I'll give it to you for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't worry so much about what's coming out anymore. If it comes out, you know, great. I want to fucking see it. I want to fucking read it. I want to fucking play with it. But I don't worry about what's gonna come anymore. Especially with like rumors for Heresy.
Yeah.
Heresy, whatever they're calling it, 2.0 or whatever. Like I don't want them to ruin what I love, so I don't pay attention to what they're doing.
I mean, again, like the whole ruining what you love, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I agree with that argument because it doesn't matter if they ruin it. What does it matter if like they change the edition and you don't like it? You have an edition that you already like. You can play that one. Doesn't matter. It's not like
It's not necessarily an argument. Like I'm not trying to convince anybody to not look at the spoilers or to like be afraid of it. It's just my stance on it. I'm not gonna look at what's coming out.
Oh yeah,
until
yeah,
it's
yeah.
already in my face.
I understand like the rumors, but I mean like the the models are different though, because we're talking about the models. Like the models are gonna come
Yeah,
out.
we're talking about models, but like you got three new characters,
Yeah.
right? That's cool, but how much stuff has Forge World stopped selling over the past couple of months alone? Fucking all your shoulder pads, your helmets, your personalized chest plates, those had already been taken away. Now what did they lose? They lost the Fire Raptor. Like you can't order a Fire Raptor anymore.
Yeah.
You can't order a Cestus Assault Ram. I know that one's a little bit old news, but like that's a badass plane. Why? I'm sorry, I've only been playing Heresy for a year or two, so now I can't order one of my favorite fucking planes.
Yeah, you can. Just don't fuck Forge World. Don't. Why even like?
I mean, I know I can. I know I can.
Like,
and I know some people can, but not everybody, wants to go that route.
That's true. But the people that don't want to do that route have no problem paying the money, so they can go to eBay. Like, it is. I don't know. Like, it is shitty. Like, I'm not trying to defend like fucking Forge World, Citadel Games Workshop, whatever you want to say. I'm not trying to defend them. Like, oh no, they're fucking great. They suck. Like, they've clearly like fucked over the community, like hand over fist. Every Forge World model is way overpriced for no fucking reason. Even before COVID, like I can understand, like, oh, they'd raise the price during COVID because fucking, shit's hard to get a hold of. That would actually be like a reasonable excuse. But just to fucking raise your prices, just to raise your prices, like, I don't really like. Fuck them then. Like the only things that I literally buy from Forge World at this point are things that I know I can't get somewhere else, like dice. And I have to get them fast because guess what? I'm already used to fucking Forge World not announcing when they're gonna take it away, so I have to buy them. I'm used to fucking decals fucking going away, so I have to buy them. So like at this point, I don't like spending the fucking energy of like negativity because it's negative. Like I know it's negative. It's a shitty thing, but guess what? At this point, it's just like, look, I just have to buy it so that I have enough for what I want to do, and then fuck them. Like I won't do it. The thing that sucks is I'm gonna have to buy like 40 fucking decal sheets because I'm gonna do all 6 wings of the fucking Dark Angels, and there's just no way I'm gonna be able to do it. So there's gonna be some tough sledding ahead, but I just have to accept that that's just what's gonna happen because it doesn't look like Forge World is gonna change. From rumors that I've heard and read, they've pretty much like fired most everybody from Forge World, from Specialist Games. They pretty much like they didn't fire them. I don't think they fired them. I think they like are planning to move them to other shit because Forge World and GW in general doesn't like giving money to people that actually know what they're doing with certain things. So they're just gonna do it all in house, fuck it up, and then have to pay somebody extra to fix it, just like they did with their coding system. Like there was a news article that said like, hey, we're going to like slow down everything. Pre-orders for 2 weeks. You can actually get it for. We're gonna pre-order it for 2 weeks. You can go ahead and you can pre-order all you want for 2 weeks. We're not going to do the 1 week kind of thing. And it's because apparently they fucked up. Like, they were trying to reorganize their cataloging system, basically like their barcoding system and everything. Apparently they just fucked it. Like, they were like, hey, you handle it. They didn't know how to do it. They still did it anyway, and then they had to pay other people to fix it for them. So, I mean, are they the best company? Fuck no. But they do make a game that I love, so I'm just going to buy what I need from them. Like, at this point in me playing Warhammer and everything about it, it's just, I'm literally just going to buy the things that I want to buy, and if I can get it through other means, I probably will. This whole thing of like giving GW their money so that they continue doesn't matter. They're gonna stay afloat with everybody else. And
Did you see that they're cracking down on 3D printers now?
yeah, yeah,
People are creating the STL files. They're giving them the whole,
yeah,
the
yeah,
old, what is it, cease and desist?
yeah. And I, again, it's just one of those things where it's just like it is what it is when it comes to uh, them being a business. Now, I did hear at least a good argument from a heresy podcast. If you are listening to other podcasts, which you should be, it's called The Imperial Truth. It's a heresy podcast, like completely heresy. Now, the guy is admittedly, admittedly a, excuse me, admittedly a GW fanboy. He said it. He's just like, look, this is just the game I love. I'm gonna pay whatever they do, whatever. But he was saying like, well, it makes sense with cease and desist. Like, you can't let people get away with that shit because if you let them take an inch, they're gonna take a mile. And it's sad but true. Like, they are going to do that. Like, people, whether their intentions are good or not, they're just going to do it. So I understand it. From a business standpoint, do I like it? Me being like a fan of this stuff and like seeing other people's creativity and like how they do these like awesome fucking models. I'm like, I need to get my resin printer up so I can print that up. Like, that feeling of like they've done something like fucking stupendous that I want to have on my table, and they have to get like a cease and desist because they're doing some kind of copyright infringement. Now, a lot of that can be done through like just name changes. You know what I mean? Just calling it something else. It can look however it looks, but
Or like the one that I saw was it was supposed to be a stand-in for the Wraith Knight, I think it's called.
the
Right? The giant.
the Revenant Eldar Titan or something like that.
Yeah. So it was just called Elf Titan. Like, for calling it, and then yeah, I mean, obviously it looks like something that an Eldar would create, but there was a lot of differences. Like, they didn't just copy it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now because guess what? I'm gonna download it. I'm gonna have it on my computer, and I'm just gonna, whenever I can, I'm going to, print it out. But it's called Space Elf Titan. That's literally what he called it. Ooh, get that out of the way. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, it looks cool as shit, and it does have quite a few differences, like with the armor platings on like the shoulder, collar, whatever, and then the head does look different. So yeah, I mean, do you think it'll come to a point where they're gonna see like these people, like just like they're doing with all their fucking and this leads into something that you haven't kept up with. Warhammer Plus, it's like a subscription where they're going to do a whole bunch of like basically these episodic videos that you can just watch whenever. So, have you seen Astartes, John? Okay, Astartes was just like a fan-made um, series that was just like showing like Space Marines and like there was no voice acting. It was all just like Foley and then just like CGI. It was awesome. Like, I'm pretty sure somebody still ripped it, so you can probably watch it on YouTube. Well, GW basically sent them a cease and desist, and then magically somehow he started working for them. And guess what? They just announced Astartes 2 for Warhammer Warhammer Plus. So do you think it's gonna? Do you think that it will come to a point where they see somebody that's just like selling a model that's just like beautiful, fucking fits into like everything that GW is looking for, and they just send them a cease and desist and say like, "Hey, look, we'll have the legal trouble go away, but we'll hire you and you'll work for us." Do you think that's a possibility?
I mean, I know, I know, I've heard how expensive it is for them to make the molds that they use, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they haven't updated a lot of their older ranges. You know, Imperial Guard's one of the most popular lines, and Katachan is really popular in that line, but they're still really old, goofy looking models, and there's models even older than that. You know, the fucking Russians are still in metal.
Yeah,
Um,
the Vistroyans or
so
whatever the hell.
yeah, the Vistroyans. Um, Tyranids haven't been updated in God knows how long. You know, they barely got back to Necrons, which was cool. But how long was it between new models for that? What do they call them? The alien races?
Xenos.
Xenos, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How long was it between that Xenos and the last time the Xenos book got an update like that? Or Xenos Army got an update like that?
They're the first that since I've been playing the game that they've had an update like that.
So, yeah, like they could hire this guy who made this whole Titan and be like, hey, come design some models for us, but if it's not really a space marine, then GW is not really interested in it.
I mean, but that's like our fault. Like, it's the customer base's fault because they don't buy anything but Space Marines. Now, granted, now, no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, like right now, Dark Eldar is dominating the tournament scene, right? A lot of people are buying Dark Eldar armies because of how fucking stupid they are, uh, broken, and we'll talk about that later. But you know, this would be a perfect time to make new Dark Eldar models and put them up there and make money, but they don't.
Because I don't think they know what they're doing. Like, I don't think they understand the rules that they gave them, so they can't capitalize on it. Like all of these things, like all these things come out of the community and like saying like, hey, look, this shit's broken, fucking get on it. And that's what the community tells the rest of the community, right? Like the small segment of like top players like figure out this shit and they're like, okay, they tell everybody, and then everybody starts going for that, right? Because they're a lot of them are meta chasers, and admittedly, there's a lot of Dark Eldar players that were just like they've been shit for fucking 4 editions. So I mean, I just want to play that. It just turns out they're really good right now. But the whole thing is that GW, I don't think understands their games, or they have too many things and not enough people to work on them. Clearly, because
I think when they make rules, I'm sure they play test them. I'm not going to say that they don't, but they play test them with the spirit of the rules, not the rules as written. You know, like when 8th edition first dropped, I'm sure they played a lot of fucking games before they went from 7th to 8th. But as soon as the players got a hold of 8th edition, they were able to see rules as written and not the spirit of the rule. So all of a sudden, you had 20 character armies that could not be shot at except one at a time in a row. You know, you had an army of nothing but flyers that could not be taken down, that could rape everything in front of them. Because rules as written and the spirit of the rules as you intended them, it's two different things.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's because they're never making a competitive game. Is the thing.
That's the thing with Mac, though. They need it to be competitive. Like they copied ITC so much that it's, you know, you can play 9th edition in tournaments without having to worry about creating your own rule system like ITC.
Yeah.
So like they are at the point now where they're making the game to be competitive. Like, yeah, you still have what is it, Crusade, right? And a lot of people love Crusade, A lot of people still love casual play. That's never going to go away. But their main rule system is for tournament play. So if you're going to start turning that corner, maybe practice it a little bit more before you release shit.
Yeah, and it all depends on like who their playtesters are. Like, are their playtesters actual tournament players, or are they just like, oh, they're decent players and like they're going to just do the best that they can with how they understand it. You know what I mean? They're really good players, but there's like there's something to be said like when you like video games, for instance. Like, video games go through constant playtesting, and they actually hire professional players for their games to playtest. Like, oh, this might be a little too strong. This might be a little too strong. So they tweak it from their judgments, right? Not from It's from multiple, so that they don't have just like one person, fucking one character. So it's nerfed into the ground. But that's kind of how all of this kind of happens. So the way that GW says is like, we're not gonna pay anybody to playtest this. We're just gonna release it as is. We're gonna get it to a good place. We're gonna let it out into the wild, and then we'll let people with their tournaments, find what's broken with it, and then we'll patch it up. And that's kind of what's been happening. Like, that's what's been happening since 8th edition, really. Like, 8th edition kind of started that. They're like, okay, this happened. They moved their chapter approves because of big tournaments. Like, because of, so that's effectively, like, tournaments are their playtesting. But by that point, it's just like, oh, this is so broken that we have to step in. And then at that point, I don't think they understand what's broken about that army. Like, Drukhari are very good. The biggest thing that everybody's taking, though, is from a campaign book. And I was telling you this, on the weekend with what we'll get to later, that was the reason that they're such a big army right now is because of the campaign book. And I don't remember them ever really uh, facking a campaign book, because I don't think they see a campaign book as like a tournament thing. They just see it as like, oh, people are just going to take this for casual play. So, like, their whole outlook, I think, is a bit strange. This just we're just talking. I was just talking about, like, I don't want to be negative, and it's just like we're just shitting on GW. But I mean, it is what it is, right? Because we love the game, and I will say this. We're gonna talk about the Alamo GT that we had in town. It seemed like fun. It seemed like most people were having fun to the point where, like, it was infectious, and I thought, hey, maybe I'll give 9th edition a shot. Maybe I'll give it a real deal shot.
That's how I felt being there this weekend, man. Like, it made me want to actually get back into it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know I have to because I want to be better prepared next year. I mean, it was fucking exhausting, dude. Like, I know I helped out more this year than I did last year, but I didn't realize how much more there was to do. Like, David was shouldering so much of the fucking burden on himself, and I didn't even realize it until this year when I was like really there with him every step of the way, and I was just like, "Fuck, David! Like, this is a lot for just the two of us."
Yeah.
And but at the same time, like, I went around and I told everybody, I was like, you play 5 people, all right? You need to rank them 1 through 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, your favorite opponent, and you can't use the numbers twice, right? So it has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mm-hmm. And more than half the people that I had talked to get their favorite opponent for, favorite opponent prize, people were just like, I can't do this. Like, I didn't have a bad game. I enjoyed every single game I played. And I was just like, well, fuck, I don't know, dude. I don't know what to tell you. If you lost against them, that's number 1. And if they bought you a beer, that's number 5. Because that was the only way to fucking do it. These people genuinely enjoyed every single game they were playing. Mm-hmm. We had some bad eggs. We always do. Yeah. But for the most part, this was a really good experience, and it kind of reinvigorated 40K for me.
Okay, well, fuck it. Let's talk about it then. We'll get into hyper progress, all that bullshit at the end. So this past weekend, which would have been, let me look at the dates real quick. The 22nd and the 23rd, we had the Alamo GT. It's San Antonio's major that we have every year. This year it grew way more than expected. Um, Mainly because we were able to get a sweet deal on a very large spaces, and in kind of premium real estate in town. And every time, we started at what, like 60, or what was the starting?
The GT,
Yeah.
from a few years back.
No. Just like this year, because we David was constantly in kind of talks with us, the leaders in Red Star for the San Antonio chapter, where he was saying like, look, we can have this many people, and then he kind of updated it twice with the number that we got, which was what, 120, somewhere on there.
We had 130 something auto players actually sign up. We had about 126 actually show up because a group of 5 from California wasn't able to make it out. They were going to fly in and they weren't able to. Pretty last minute. But we still had over 120 people actually play.
Nice.
Which think, don't quote me on this, I think that made this Alamo the biggest GT in Texas so far. I know we were always trailing behind Dallas, who usually gets 120 people consistently. So I think we might have broken their record, if not at least matched it.
Okay.
So yeah, the spacing was a big thing because we started off with 80 odd some people, and then we were able to get that to a little over 100, and then it grew again. And this is like spaced out tables, what we call islands, right? Where you have the tables and there's not a table on either side of you touching. You were able to walk completely around the table.
Yeah.
We did that last year for the San Antonio Shootout, which was a secondary GT because of COVID. And we had the tables spaced out so that everybody, no matter where you were standing, you were 6 feet away from somebody else. So this time, everybody is getting vaccinated. People are a little more lax with distancing and stuff. So we still had a good amount of spacing between the tables, but we were able to still get it to a pretty big number and still have that space in between each table.
Yeah.
And then, so next year we got really big plans for next year.
Yeah.
The Age of Sigmar group is coming to us and talking about being in the event with us, so possibly having 40K and Age of Sigmar. And then, of course, me and Roman being the heresy fucking nerds that we are, we want to bring heresy into it. Kill Teams was a small part of the GT this year. Blood Bowl has its own GT, but it's on a different day. But I think we can start, maybe, hopefully, if we can continue to get the space of this size, like bring all these games back under one umbrella, under one day.
Yeah.
The way it used to be.
Yeah, and in the past year we had it at a local place called St. Joseph's Hall, which was just basically a ballroom downtown. It was perfect for us at that point because we crammed in. This was pre-COVID, so we had lines of tables where there was 8 to 9 mats on one table, and people were playing right next to each other. Me being me, I always like the idea of spreading out as much as possible because I'm just like, I'm a fat and I don't want to be rubbing up against anybody. So I did see this setup and I do like it. Now whether or not that will continue next year, that's another story. But it was, from my perspective, I wasn't able to be as hands-on with it this year as I was in the past. just because still weary of the whole situation. It's hard for me to just get anywhere. To be honest with you, I have social anxiety where I don't like gathering with large groups of people, which is weird because I used to go to a lot of concerts when we were younger. But as a girl,
That's different.
mm-hmm.
Concerts have their own energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people can roll their eyes at that, but like you get that many bodies into one place and you change the energy of wherever you are.
Okay.
You know, when you're cheering at a basketball game, like it feels alive. You can feel, you know, that positive fucking energy of everybody rooting for this team. If you're at a concert, you know, everybody loves the music that's being played, obviously, or they wouldn't have paid to go to this concert. And it's just all this positive fucking energy focused on what this one group is doing. Now you take that and you turn it into a very highly competitive game, and that's, well, you know, it's a different energy entirely.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I'm way more social than Roman, but I was fucking drained by the end of it. Like I wanted to fucking shoot myself. And I was having a great time every time I was there. People were fucking buying me drinks. People recognized me from, you know, the podcast or from the Mournival Weekly that we do, because I put out a lot of videos. For those of you who aren't in San Antonio and don't get to see that, whenever we do a league, I have weekly videos going out, keeping everybody updated on the lead and giving out prizes. So people recognize me, even if I don't know who they are right off the back. And so, you know, a lot of conversations come up, a lot of fucking beer, a lot of alcohol, everybody's buying each other drinks, everybody's having a good time. But it is a different energy, and by the end of it, I just wanted to fucking fall into the fucking San Antonio River that we were playing over.
Now, mine's a bit different because that's like an overstimulation for me. Even going out to like play one game of Warhammer, something like that, is draining for me. Like even though I'm barely interacting with one person, like I think I gotta get that checked out. There's something clearly something's not right with my brain, but I think I have to get that sorted out because like I do feel like very drained after like a prolonged interaction, even with somebody that I love, somebody that I actually genuinely like and want to play a game with. It's hard for me to stay in a positive mindset for so long. But the GT was a positive overall positive experience. I didn't see anybody like really being a dick. You know what I mean? In past events, I saw the dickhead behavior a lot, like a lot. Fucking almost every round, I see somebody being a fucking asshole.
We had a few. I'm sorry if the plane is fucking sounding loud there, but it's a pretty big plane going right over my head. But for example, we had one guy, and I can understand where he's coming from because this guy is ranked really high in the nation. Oh no, the world actually. He's ranked really high in the world.
Okay.
But there was an instance where this guy, being a little bit of a douche, his opponent had a model whose arms, like it was like a dreadnought whose arms had broken off, right? And so he argued to deny his opponent the 10 points for fully completed, fully painted models because that model's arms had fallen off. And so David, is like, dude, like, do you have the arms? Like, they just fall off. Do you have them with you? Can you glue them back on? And he's like, no, I don't have them with me. They fell off yesterday, on Saturday because it's a city event. And so David's like, fuck, dude, I'm gonna have to count it as an incomplete model, which takes off those 10 points.
Yeah.
The dude was like, oh, that's fine. I understand. The model it's missing its pieces. I would not have fucking given a fuck. But this is a ranking tournament, so rules have to be followed.
Yeah.
But to push it even further, the opponent, the guy being a douche, he also wanted the 10 points taken off from the guy's all of his other previous games. So he didn't just want him to lose the 10 points for his game. He wanted him to lose the 50 points for the whole tournament. 10 points per game. And David was like, I can't fucking do that. We don't know when those arms fell off. They could have fallen off in the match right before yours, for all we know.
Yeah.
And he goes, all of his opponents you know, gave him the 10 points for fully complete, fully painted.
Mm-hmm.
So they all agreed that his models were fine. So like, we're not going to do that. But like, this guy was really pushing for it. And you know, like if that's what it takes for you to be ranked that high in the world, I'm not really sure that's something I'm interested in.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a part of me because you know this about me. I can be very competitive. I can be. Warhammer is one of the things that I honestly like. I'm just bad at. So like I'm just like, well, I still have fun being bad. So like I'm not gonna try to get better, but I can't. I can be that dickhead. Like if I allowed myself, I could be that asshole. Um, but there's a part of me that's like, you know what? I I would like to play a competitive game with like David, because David's a super competitive dude. He goes to all the fucking RTTs and like everything that you can go to.
The only GT he doesn't play in is the one that he runs.
Exactly. So there's a part of me that's like, look, David, show me how to play. Like, show me how to really play this game. But
He's
what
actually gonna help me learn ninth edition so that I can judge better next year.
exactly?
I'm not looking forward. I'm not looking forward to it at all.
But I know, like, I'm just gonna get my dick kicked in, like, just
Yes.
completely. Like, the reason I don't want to play David is because it's not gonna be a game. Like, he's not gonna have fun. He's gonna be like, you're stop playing this game. Like, you shouldn't play this game at all because like but another thing that comes with like being good is like getting these pieces. Like there's clearly pieces that if you are going to be competitive, you have to use. Like there's really no two ways about it. Now, I just don't know if I want to do that because I'll be honest, I only really have Space Marines, and I don't want to play Primaris. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way their vehicles particularly look. So I don't know if I want to do that. But I do want to. I do want to see if there's a way to get better with what I have, like just to understand the game better. And I think that's what I should do with David. You know what I mean? If you're gonna play him at your house or something, let me know so I can like watch and see what the fuck's going on, so I can at least learn from that. But yeah, that's I don't know. But then again, there's just a lot of games that I want to play. Um, there's a ton of games that I want to play. Like this Saturday, I'm planning to play Armada again. You know, these these square based ships. So I'm planning to play that game because I genuinely liked it. From it's very easy to understand, and I'm in on it. But I do want to get better at games, so that at the bare minimum, bare minimum, next year, I can be a better judge. I can actually go to the event and be a better judge, and possibly play what's it called? Uh, a ringer game. I can be the ringer for at least one game. You know what I mean? Because I think the problem with this is like having a designated ringer. That's like I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna play 5 games if need be. It's like it's a lot for somebody. So I think it's something that we should talk about with David about having multiple people that will have a ringer. Like we'll take a round of ringer if anybody needs it. But I do that. But again, like the whole point of the GT was just like it did its job because the whole point of a GT is to like have fun. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's a competitive edge and that caters to those people that have fun their way. But honestly, I just looked at people just like smiling and like laughing. I walked in like midday on Saturday and like 2 people were like "fuck you," and then they took off their shirts. And I was like, all right. And then
And then
David,
David goes, "Hey, we gotta see that. You gotta buy us a beer." So we all got fucking beers off
yeah,
of that. I was like,
yeah,
anybody else wants to take off their fucking shirt? Because I'm not drunk enough yet.
he jokingly threatened them both with yellow cards if they don't get the judges' beers. So that was funny. But I mean, again, like that's
I
like
forgot about that. I
yeah,
guess
like
they got the
that's
shirts.
the crowd that you deal with fucking 40K players, and like just seeing some of the models that some people painted were fucking beautiful. Like some of them stood out. Like I don't know who won best awards because I wasn't there on that. I wasn't there that time of that day. Um, but there was like a Slanesh it was a Slanesh demons with a Slanesh knight, and they made like this cool like display board of like this kind of like uh waterfall and like just it looked really cool. And he used a creature caster model, of course, because that was beautiful. Um, so like, and plus it's Slanesh. I love Slanesh, so I'm just like, all right, cool. Like this is by far like my favorite like army that someone's painted this at that tournament. Um,
You'll be happy to know that he did take best painted.
my man, I remember his. I actually remember his name. It was Lance. I don't remember his last name, but I remember his first name was Lance. So shout out to you, Lance. I doubt you'll ever see this, but I mean, even so, like it was cool to see. I will say, what did what was awesome, or what is awesome about Ninth Edition, is that if you want those 10 points, you got to paint your army, and even if it's 3 color minimum, you got to paint it. Like if you want those 10 points, if you want a chance of winning, you know, at least cracking even the top 10, you have to paint your army. So like it was a really cool thing to see that like everybody was like, oh okay, and you could see that there was people you could tell like the real tournament players were just like fucking contrast this, and we're good to go, and it still looked good. So I was like, you
Yeah,
know
but
what,
like Mike Iteria,
mhm.
who's stationed in fucking Hawaii right now. He was the type of person who would chase the meta, and I like the guy personally. Um, I know a lot of people couldn't be around him for too long, but a lot of what I learned about competitive Warhammer, at least for 7th edition, came from playing with him.
Mhm.
You know, he was a very competitive player, but he would buy the army that was doing really good at the moment and not paint it. Which back then nobody gave a fuck, but now you need those 10 points. You have to paint. It's driving a lot of people to do what they wouldn't have done before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing with that is the thing with that in particular is that I really like that there was like fully painted armies. You know, all of our terrain looked good. Be fucking 100% real with everybody. Our terrain is probably some of the better ones, and that's all thanks to David. Um,
I want to go ahead and humbly say that we have the best terrain out of any major out there. Um, I've seen what other people have done. Uh, you know, they do the styrofoam X, or they just throw out like scatter pieces of like little trees and rocks and shit. We had buildings upon buildings on every fucking table. We had barricades, we had craters, for all that, -1 to hit and stuff like that. But we had the big Alamo, 2 smaller Alamos, 4 smaller, even smaller Alamos, plus actual GW terrain. So there was around the edge of the table, there was 3 buildings, 3 buildings, 3 buildings, 3 buildings, big building in the middle, and then the scattered terrain. That was every fucking table. Like it didn't matter if you were playing for top 2 or if you were playing on the bottom 2. You had the same amount of terrain on every table, and it was more than enough.
But with but yeah, what can I say? I am willing now. Now I was begrudgingly going to play a ninth edition game just to be like, all right, I give it a fair shake, even though I was probably gonna go in really biased and say like it fucking sucked, I didn't like it. But now I am a little more excited to try a ninth edition game. Still prefer seventh edition, even though a lot of people hated that edition. I still prefer it. I will openly make a ninth edition list of 2,000 points and play somebody, whether that be David or you or Mark or someone else that I'm cool with and wants to play a ninth edition. I'll go ahead and do that. But yeah, GT was by all means a success. It sucked that I wasn't able to do more for the GT, but next year I will make sure that that does not happen again. I'll make sure that there is it's not so weighed on David's shoulders. That I'll take some of that weight in whatever way I can.
The biggest thing that you specifically can do is get the U-Haul on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure I can do that.
Because you have the experience driving that big of a vehicle.
Yeah,
And because we were doing everything on Sunday, obviously David can't break off to go get the fucking U-Haul when he's the one running the thing. So we had to pack everything up on Monday. So basically, it was 4 days for me and David because we had to set it up Friday and put it back in storage on Monday.
yeah, yeah. So I'll make sure I'll see that I can at least do that sort of stuff. I will take off the days for that tournament to make sure that that does not happen. I was thinking about it. I was like, I think you made the right decision by taking a week off before the GT. I'm kind of like, that might be what I do next year. If I can swing it, I'll see if I can do that. But yeah, GT roused success. It did its job and inadvertently making me want to play ninth edition.
And cool fun fact, although I don't know his fucking name, and I'm sorry I don't, but the person who came in first at the GT was actually the first ranked person in the world.
Yeah, I don't have the results. I know they're on Best Coast Pairing, so if you want to check that out, you can go to.
I don't think they can. I think if you were not in the event, you cannot look at it. I think.
I don't think so because I think there's people that can search up the BCP. I think they can search it up somehow. I don't know exactly how because I don't care enough to do that, but I know that there are people that do care and they will do that. So I've seen it. So I know that that will make the round somewhere. But the next thing, and John kind of touched on it, one of the bigger pieces of news that we got for this, or not news, I should say, but like the topic, is John is going to be throwing another Mournival Weekly. Now, Mournival Weekly, this is Mournival Weekly 7. So this is the seventh one. I was a part of at least 4 of them. I would help you with that. With at least 4 of them. I think the last 2 I did not. One because of COVID, the other because I think I was just busy and couldn't really do it. But this year, again, I'm making a choice to try to get better acquainted with the community. So John looks like his phone freezed up. But either way, when it comes to the Mournival Weekly, it should be starting, I believe, in June. I think John's phone actually died. So give me 1 second, guys. And sorry about that, guys. I don't know what the hell happened with John's phone. Even he doesn't know. So But yeah, the Mournival Weekly. It's the number 7, and John just volunteered me to offer a prize. So now I have to do it. Not like I wouldn't be unwilling. It's just I don't know why he chose to just spring it on me in a live video that he was just like, "Did you watch?" And I was like, "Not yet." He's just like, "Well, I volunteered you for something." I'm like, "All right." So, um, along with the normal, um, 40k AOS, heresy, and any other game that you want, John actually decided to let RPGs count in this journey in this
not
Marvel.
not everything, because I didn't realize how many fucking. So basically, last year people were playing D&D, right? And there's a lot of games that people were playing at home because the stores weren't open, and two of the biggest ones were D&D and Magic the Gathering. So people were playing D&D, and I wasn't counting that as games played, but when they were painting their toys, that counted towards hobby, and there's prizes for hobby. So this year I was like, fuck it, if they're going to be playing D&D and Magic anyways, I'm going to count it. Especially since our buddy Cliff, who owns GameLot, was really interested in being a part of the league, and he now has tables to play, tabletop games. So you can go to his shop to win his prize, and play Magic or play Warhammer. And Cliff and his son, who are always there, both play Warhammer, so you'll have somebody to play with no matter what game you are playing. And then Caesar was like, "Hey, people are asking about Pokemon and this," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, I can't open it up to everything. The reason why I chose Magic and D&D is because people from Red Star, who the league was built for, were already playing those games. Because of COVID, a lot of us started playing Magic again, only because we couldn't get into a store to play Warhammer.
Yeah.
Which is why I was like, okay, we're just gonna add that in. But I think I'm drawing the line there.
Okay. So, just Magic the Gathering and D&D.
Yeah, along with actual tabletop games. So you have Star Wars, you have 40k, 30k, Fantasy, Sigmar, Warcry, Necromunda, Kill Teams, Infinity, Malifaux, Marvel Crisis Protocol, the ship game Armada, the game that Armada came from. What is that one called?
Kings of War.
Kings of War. So stuff like that. Actual tabletop games. The only exception for tabletop miniatures is going to be D&D and Magic.
Okay. So, all right. So I thought it was going to be multiple RPGs. It's going to be D&D.
Yeah.
But,
there's the other one too that people play, which is like D&D but not D&D. I forgot what it's called. Pathfinder, maybe?
Pathfinder.
I don't know. Whatever it is that all those fucking nerds at Heroes Retreat play, which I think is Pathfinder.
They do play Pathfinder, but they also play Star Wars, the Star Wars RPG.
I didn't even know that was a fucking thing.
Yeah. Come on, baby. It's fucking Star Wars. They're horde and everything. But, alright. Cool. And John said the keyword, which is fantasy. So, yeah. It seems like more and more people in the area miss fantasy, and they want to play it again. A lot of people had their armies. I know David was saying that he has his elf armies, which, knowing David, makes sense. Elves were like super competitive in fantasy, so it makes sense that he would play different flavors of elves. But I do have extra rule books. I do have extra army books that I'm more than happy to loan out for the game if they don't have their own, so that they can kind of thumb through it. They can use it while we're playing the game. So yeah, I guess I'm a de facto kind of fire starter for fantasy again. So
yeah. So the caveat for the prize that I volunteered Roman for is that anybody that comes and tries fantasy with us is automatically entered for a chance to win a prize that Roman will buy.
Yeah, and the prize is not going to be a specific model or anything like that. I've decided. I haven't decided exactly what it is, but it's going to be something that's more universal, so that everybody can use, not just like if you're a high elves player. Guess what? You get a high elves, or like you get an ogre model. Be like, well, I can't use this. Well, 2 fucking bags. That's what I bought.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be something that's more fantasy centric, something that you can use for sure there. But which I already have an idea because it's something that I've had my eye on. And if I can find 2 of them for the right price, I'll have one, and somebody else can get that one as well. But that's the Mournival Weekly. If you're interested in joining, if you're in the San Antonio area, there are some people I know that are in Austin, like John Cook, was interested in playing some Mournival stuff as well. So if you are in the San Antonio area or the surrounding area and are willing to make some treks out here every once in a while to play at some of these stores, that are hosting that are giving us some price support, you can go ahead and let John know on the Facebook, and he'll get you taken care of. You can either pay at one of the participating stores, or
No, we're not doing that anymore.
you're not doing participating.
No, it's solely through PayPal.
Solely through PayPal. All right. Do you want?
You can either you can get a hold of me or Caesar for that because I haven't actually set up PayPal yet.
All right. So we'll set that up, and when we do, we'll let you know. We'll let you know either through the Grimworks page, through the Lost Chapters, which you can go follow on Instagram. Now, as of right now, the Instagram page is basically a double post that I do from my page. I just do my hobby progress every day, and I just take a picture, and then I put it on my Instagram and the Lost Chapters. But one thing that I did want to bring up that Mark actually suggested that we start doing is if you want to showcase your models in some way, like anything that you've painted from like one episode to the other, send us a picture and we can put it onto the actual show. Now, if I can manage it this episode, I do have pictures from the GT that I'll slide in, hopefully, that you saw while we were talking about the GT. You saw a few of the army pictures because I did take shots at the different tables with different players on them. So if I can manage that on a more frequent basis, we will make sure to throw it up here during the episode, and we can comment on it and see if there's anything. If you want any critiques, I can offer, or if you just want some praise, like everybody else wants, go ahead and we can do that for you as well. So I just thought it was a really cool idea that Mark had brought up, and I do want to implement that. And if you want us to do that on Instagram, we can do that as well. Just send us a picture, and we can credit you on that, so we can get something more other than just my hobby progress, because I know it's weird just to see it's just double posting. So if you follow me and Lost Chapters, you're gonna see the same post no matter what. And I've always just said that there's better painters than me, and I think we should showcase them. So if you are interested in that, let us know either through the email or just let us know through Instagram, which should be on the in the description below. I'll also throw in my Instagram so that you can message me there if you need be, and possibly John's as well. But before we go, we still have some bits to take care of, and that's some hobby progress. So John, have you done anything in the past month?
Yeah, I finished building finally my Black Knights. So I got 15 Black Knights and 15 of the other version that comes from the box. I don't remember what they're called off the top of my head, but the ghost ones.
Hex Race?
Hex Race, yeah.
I'm good. I am good.
I haven't. So I got rid of a good more than half of my Sylvaneth. I only kept what was playable in Fantasy. And the Sylvaneth had a lot of models that were not playable in Fantasy, so I traded those away for some Bretonians. And So those need a little TLC. But um, basically, what happened is I traded about $400 worth of Sylvaneth to this guy who had a bunch of Bretonian stuff, and I thought, he was just gonna send me like $400 worth of Bretonians
Mm.
or whatever. But even on MSRP, he still sent me more than I sent him, which I am very grateful. I think he just really wanted to just have this huge lot
Mm-hmm.
just gone from his house because you and anybody else knows how much Warhammer takes. And Bretonians are not in Sigmar, so he was just like, I don't want this. Fucking get it off my hands.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how fucking much it was because even at MSRP, he sent me more than I sent him, and that's MSRP. Like Bretonians are worth more now than what they were when they were actually in the circuit. So
Because
I
they
got pretty much
because they are OOP.
yeah. So I got 90% of a fucking Bretonian army now. The only thing I didn't get was characters.
Mm.
So I got to get some characters.
Yeah,
But other than that, like I have everything.
yeah.
Um,
That's awesome. I will uh, help you play with those because I do love my Cav. It's in every game. I mean, I can't fucking escape it. I love fucking fast attack shit. I can't fucking help it. Which is weird because I fucking hate motorcycles in real life. I think they're stupid. But in the game, they're fucking badass. So that is sweet. I'm a little bit jealous because, but here's the thing: me and John said like how many armies are in Warhammer Fantasy? It's somewhere like 18 to 19 armies. They're like, okay, who's getting what? Because eventually we just want to have all the armies. Like I love all these armies. I would. It's like heresy for me. It's like I want to get all the legions eventually. You know what I mean? But it's let's be honest, it's probably not going to happen. But it's something to strive for. So what with fantasy, me and John were just like, well, fuck it, we'll just split it down the middle. And it was really hard for me because it came down to Bretonians and Empire. And I was like, fuck, I love both those armies, but I can't just have both those armies. Like it's a fucking stupid thing to do. So I was like, the thing that won out was Empire for me because I was like, I just love all those fucking steam tanks and stupid fucking war machine, like the yeah, war machines that are just fucking crazy cannons, and I just fucking love it. I love that mechanic. That'll come in up in our games played. Um, but I just fucking love that shit. So my love of Empire kind of trumped my love for Bretonian and Fast Cab. So John went ahead and went to Bretonia. So he needs a 7th edition rulebook. If you do have a 7th edition Bretonian rulebook, go ahead and message
oh, I
John.
got it. I got it.
Oh, okay, you got it already.
Yeah, and it's 6th edition was their last.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It's 6th edition. I was thinking 7th because I was like, fuck, I need a 7th edition Skaven. Which on eBay, not that expensive. I think I found one for like $10. So I can get that pretty soon. Because I already have 3 armies for fantasy. Like I just have 3 armies already. I really, 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 really want to start Ogre Kingdoms because they're a super elite army, and a 2,000 point army is like 20 models maybe. It's like a Custodes army. So I'm like, oh, thank God, I can just fucking like paint these super easy, and then bing bang boom, we get them on the table. And they're just it's a different army altogether. I've never played anything that's super elites heavy like that, where it's just like these units have a lot of wounds, and you have to kind of be careful with them because the right things can take them out, and you're fucked. I've never played that type of army, and I am interested in it. So that's probably the next army that I will get into. Even though I am looking at my high elves because I was looking at the high elves army book, and they have fucking flying eagle chariots. And I was like, fuck, I want that. I want that so bad. But those are OP, which out of print, and they're fucking super expensive. So I'm gonna have to see what I can do. But I also have, a fucking army that is completely like non-existent anymore. Tomb Kings. So I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna do that one as well. And apparently Tomb Kings are shit, so that fits into my playstyle. Um, any other hobby progress for you, John?
Mm. Well, I know you say that you count buying as hobby progress for
Mm-hmm.
me specifically. So I got Jay Peña's World Eaters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there was some hobby progress because I had to reglue a lot of chain axes and chain swords, but armor came to me already fully painted. Um, so I have some stuff to add to it that I gotta copy his color scheme on, which is great because I didn't paint the stuff I already have anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I have to repaint, and it's not a terribly complicated color scheme. Um, it's like 80% blood for the blood god. so so yeah, I'm pretty excited to play with that. I know we're gonna do some 40k 7th edition stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an army. I used to play Bloodcorn, Demonkin. What? Bloodcorn, Demonkin, Corn Demonkin.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. The
uh,
corn demonkin supplement.
yeah. So I played that towards the end of 7th edition. Um, so it'll be nice to be able to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that is about it for me.
Okay. As far as my hobby progress,
Hmm.
since the last episode, I had bought this book. I'm counting uh, things bought as that. So I bought Mortis because I got really impatient trying to wait for the um, audiobook. And then as I'm finishing this book, I see a thing on Warhammer Community. It's like, hey, you fucking want to hear Mortis? It's coming out in a week. And I was like, son of a bitch, I'm already done with the book. And then I will show you this. That one
Your
book,
thighs are so white.
my thighs are very white. So I can get a little bit of my underwear there.
Ooh.
So one book multiplied into three. So these are anthology books, just short stories um, that you can't get anywhere else. I don't think they've done these in audiobook as of yet. I don't know if they turned these into like audio dramas, which are like acted with multiple um, like voice actors. I don't think they've done that with these, so I just bought these, and this turned into an obsession, which fucked me completely. Now I'm looking for Horus Heresy books in hardcovers. So not only am I looking for fucking campaign books that are hundreds of dollars, I'm looking for fucking hardcover books that are hundreds of dollars. So fuck me, right? Who knew I like to read? Um, so I did that. As far as painting, I've painted a few things. I've painted some. You can see a little bit back there. I've painted a few more of my Sky Hunters for my Ravenwing for Heresy. They're nearly complete. I just have to do some edge highlighting, decals. My God, I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me and why I never used decals to begin with. Like, I seriously fucked up. I love decals. And Microsaw and Microset, these two bad boys right here, are the key to that. They super simple to use. You use one before the other. Use it multiple times. I think Micro Set, which is the blue one, you used that one before. This one melts it basically and makes it a little bit. Now it is a bit harder with shoulder pauldrons. A little tip for you if you are using decals for shoulders. It's going to be a bit curved, so what you want to do is cut lines where you can. You're cutting like a decal out, right, in a circle. Then you cut like a little cross into them, or as many as you want, really, so that it kind of splays out the decal, so that it goes it'll flatten out when it's going over like around the round part of the pauldron of the shoulder. So you can do that. Another thing I found out, these brush, I guess,
Caps.
yeah, brush caps. There you go. These, if you find a big enough cap, I found one, and I should have put it aside, but I didn't. But it's large enough that it basically can put a decal on there, and that's how I differentiated some of my sergeants for my Raven Wing. You can go ahead and look at that on my Instagram or the Lost Chapters Instagram. But you'll see how I did like a circle, and it came out a little more oval just because of like the way I positioned it, but still pretty spot on as like a pretty perfect shape. And then I put a decal on there, and that fucking looked fucking mint. So, a little tip for you. Other than that, I am working on the land speeders now. So I am working on weapon options for the Cyclone missile launcher, and then the others for the last cannons. Now, if you'll notice, for the last cannons, you'll see that it's orange. And that's because I actually 3D printed that out, and I primed it out yesterday just to see like how it looks. It's still got a bit of the striation, but honestly, if you look at Forge World models, they have striation now because they're doing the same fucking thing. So looks good enough for me. Just slap on some colors onto that bad boy and it'll look brand new. But other than that, I do have to magnetize them because, yeah, I just have to magnetize them. I think that's all for my hobby progress. Oh, I've been painting up some stuff for David because David got a little behind working on terrain, so he fell behind on some of his stuff, and you'll see it right here. He has some Sicarans. I did the Astreus Primaris big ass tank, and he did all really the hard work of assembling and priming it in silver because he has a shiny kind of salamanders look to all the stuff. And all I'm doing is just taking the Tamiya Clear, which he provided as well, and just putting that into my airbrush and just base coating it. He's going to take care of all the other details. So I'm just doing that for him, you know, just so he can have his army all painted up. And that's it for my hobby progress. We have games played. Now, I did want to do an elaborate games played, but I think time's running a little short at the moment. So me and John a couple of weeks ago played 2 games in one day, which turned out it was a full day thing. We started probably around 12:30 or 1, and we didn't stop playing until possibly around 9 or so. So our first game was Heresy. It was 3K. I had my Luna Wolves against John's. What did
Thousand Suns.
Thousand Suns. There you go. It was the diagonal deployment, Vanguard Strike. It was Vanguard Strike deployment. It was the first one, the first mission, which is just kill points basically, but you determine which type of unit you're going for, and then it's an extra point on top of what you killed. So in that case, I saw with some of the easy things I could score with John were his infantry. So I went for infantry, and John went for tanks because if you know anything about my Luna Wolves army, it's a lot of tanks and a lot of Terminators. So I did that. I did pretty well. It felt really bad to play this way, but in order for me to have a chance of winning, he just had to crack my Land Raiders basically. So I just had to stay put and kind of just like take my pot shots where I could and take out what I could. Now, it ended up being a very, very, very close game. John ended up winning. or no, um,
No, we tied
we
9-9.
we tied 9-9. Yeah. I thought that he had won, and then I recounted my stuff, and I was like, "Wait, that's a tie." And I was like, "Wait, that can't be." I was like, "Fuck, man! Like all this time, and it's still a tie." So, but I did play the correct way. I did learn a lot of stuff from it. Where I'm like, okay, you have to play the objective. As much as it hurt me to not, I guess I'm just a corn player, even though I hate corn. I just want to like get out of shit and fucking like destroy it as like much as I can. So, but it was a very fun game. Um, it was what, 6 turns. By the end of it, I knew John blew up one of two of my land ra- two of my land raiders. He blew up,
And the
uh,
Rhino.
and a rhino, which was, oh, it was just a regular rhino. I thought it was the command
Mhm.
rhino. It was just regular rhino, and those were the tanks that he killed. So that's how he made a majority of his points. Um, I don't, he only wiped out one of my units of Turbinators, and that's the Tartaros because they're Tartaros and they just rolled bad. So it was one of those things where, well, I'm sure John. Yeah, there he is. So when it came down to it, I just knew that I had to make sure I stayed in my tanks and just let him come to me. I knew that with the tanks that I had, I had 2 Sicarans, and I was like, perfect. I'll just go for infantry. It's easy to wipe out the infantry with those things. Did good with that. I had 2 Contemptors. Um, I had some other shit, not important, like everything that I had, but it was a very fun game, 9-9. Uh, and John brought his T Sons, which I think that's the first time I actually played against T Sons.
Yeah, it is. So I had my Osiris Dreadnought, a unit of Marines with rotor cannons, um, 2 units of Sekhmet Terminators, some characters, a Sikaran Punisher, my Kanati Blade guys,
Mm-hmm.
and the Kanati were inside of the fucking big Land Raider. What is it called?
The big Land Raider, you mean a Sicaran? Or not a Sicaran, a Spartan?
Yeah, there you go, Spartan.
It's not a big Land Raider, it's a Spartan. Get it right.
So big Land Raider.
Treat it with fucking respect, because it's what kept you alive.
I also played what was it, the Storm Eagle
Storm
or
Eagle.
something like that? Yeah,
Mm, no, it was a Fire Raptor.
Fire Raptor.
Yeah, it was a Fire Raptor because it didn't have the missile launchers on top.
Yeah. So we both got to play with some things that we hadn't played before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very very good game. It really came down to the fucking wire at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he couldn't, like, I gave up on trying to crack his fucking Sicaran or his fucking Spartan. Um, because we both had Spartans and we are just like, we just could not do anything with flare shields. So that should tell you that Spartans are really good. Uh, and you fall into a trap. At least I'm falling into a trap where I'm just like, I should just take a Sicaran or a Spartan in every one of my armies. I'll just have a fucking Spartan. It's kind of like it's a shit move because it's like, well, you want to play different things all the time, so like I shouldn't do that. Um, but going on to fantasy. Now fantasy, we had just eaten. John cooked up some good food. It was awesome. And then we went into a 2,000 point, a smaller game of fantasy. 2,000 points of my Warriors of Slanesh, Warriors of Chaos, Slanesh, and John's Vampire Counts. Now we started all bushy-eyed and hopeful, and like this is gonna be great. And by the end, we fucking hated each other, and we didn't want to play this game. Um, but my my frustration, because it wasn't like real anger. I wasn't gonna fucking like break anything or punch John or nothing. It wasn't anger. It was just frustration. It was like I fucked up with one thing that if I would have done it, I would have won. I charged in my uh, my leader, which was just Chaos Sorcerer on a Manticore. Um, we just played a regular Dawn of War, or the equivalent of Dawn of War. I don't know if it's called anything different in fantasy. And it was just another kill points where the unit that you killed, the total points value for that unit, you just add it all up for each one you killed. Boom, got it. The reason John won is because he just whittled down my my Lord. That was 500 points, and that was like the kind of game breaker. So my frustration came out of that, not necessarily like anything else. I understand that Warriors of Chaos are just really heavy hitting. You have a lot of attacks, and a lot of those attacks will hit, something very crumbly like VC. If it's just regular kind of land troops, or land troops, if it's just kind of like your regular kind of core choices. So I understood that it was just a trade off, and I understood my particular uh, failure in that game. And then the one thing that just frustrated me to no end was I just needed an 8-inch charge for my Warriors, and I would have had a spectacular chance. I would have gotten a rear charge into like one of his bigger units, and I would have been able to take out that unit and the leader as well. Like if I would have made that charge, I would have been able to wipe it out with the amount of attacks that I was going to get. But it didn't happen, and I was just like, just go. Doesn't matter. Like I'm just go. And that was my frustration. But overall, I still enjoyed the game. I still love the game. It's just the frustration comes from actually learning a new game, like a brand new game to us, because we never really played it in the old days.
Yeah, my frustration was fucking magic. So if you know anything about vampire counts, they are heavily reliant on the magic phase. Um, so 3 turns in a row, I rolled a 3 for the Winds of Magic, and there was just nothing I could do with that. I need those spells. My troops fucking suck.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to. They're zombies and skeletons. Barely fucking hanging on, pieces of sinew and shit. But the thing is, like, you're supposed to be able to bring them back up. So basically, you lose 20 guys, you bring back 15. But I just those 3 turns, I couldn't fucking resurrect shit because the Winds of Magic were just not in my favor.
Well, the thing is that like it was a 6-turn game again. The first 2 turns, I was able to just outright stop his major ability, which was the something macabre. I don't remember. It's a signature spell for vampire counts. I was able to stop that for 2 turns. The first turn, my dice were hot with magic, so I was able to just stop that. The second turn, I did have to dispel scroll it because I was just afraid, and I was just like, if I can stop it very early, I have a really good chance of just like crumbling his entire army. And then the third turn is where it started to churn, and unfortunately, like turn 4 was good for John. Turn 5 and 6 were terrible for John. He was rolling like 2s and 3s for magic, and even with my limited dice, I was still able to like cancel out a lot of his abilities. So we were just frustrated at different things, but overall, I think we both enjoyed the game a lot.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm excited to play another thing. I was like, oh, should I bring Lizardman next time? I'm like, well, you should probably learn how to play one army before I fucking go and try to get Lizardman, because my Lizardman stuff is already done. It's already assembled at least, so I have no problem just fucking playing it gray. So I was thinking about doing that, but again, that's like another rule book entirely, and like having to learn like how that functions. I think even though Slanesh isn't a great mark of chaos, I still liked it. It still came in handy with like negating panic tests and things like that. Just automatically winning some of those were key to me sticking around. So I really do like it, and I came to the realization I hate the Marauder models. I think they suck. But I think I might have to make a list involving some of them, just so I can kind of see how else I can do it. But I was also looking at the Chaos Demons book because I got that one as well, and I forgot that you can take a fucking Soul Grinder. And I was like, well, I guess I'm buying a fucking Soul Grinder just because it's a cool ass model that I've always liked, but I've just never played Chaos, so I was never had a chance to use it. And guess what? I had to put it on a base because it's too fucking big for a base. So whoop whoop. So I will be doing that. I will be expanding. Thanks to John, thankfully to Jay, because Jay gave it to John. John doesn't like Slanesh, so he gave it to me. I have a little 10 unit of Demonettes, so I have that. And then Mark said that I think he says he has a Chariot of Slanesh. So me and Chariots, baby, I love them. Again, fast attack shit, I'm all over it. Oh, Chaos Knights, dirty as fuck. Um, yeah, that's all I have to say. I took out John's hex rates in first turn. Just wiped them out. So, Chaos Knights. Oh, and I was thinking about this. Is there a bigger disparity in models? Like you have, or like name? Like a name. Because you have Chaos Knights, right? And in fantasy, they're just like cavalry, right? And in 40k, they're gigantic titans. They're gigantic fucking like knights that are just chaos. So they're literally called Chaos Knights, both of them. And I'm like, how does this happen? How do you name something the same thing and they're just two wildly different things that are never gonna like have a chance to stand next to each other? But that was our games played. Is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
I don't think so.
All right, and thanks for listening, guys. Now, or watching if you're watching this on YouTube, youtube.com/Grimworks. If you do want to leave any comments, just leave them down below. Or if you want to send us an email, go and send it to the Lost Chapter 00 at Gmail. Should be in the description as well. And like I said, if you want to be a part of the podcast, let us know. We're always happy to have a guest on. But if you want to showcase any of your work or any of your models, go ahead and send us some pictures and we'll put it up here and our Instagram and anywhere else where we can shout you out. But that has been episode 11 of The Lost Chapters. I've been one of your hosts, Roman, and
I am John.
all right. And we still don't have a sign off, so I'll just say bye.
See you in the warp.